The Yankees just gutted out a 7-6 win over the Mets, and man, do we have a lot to talk about.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, that was quite a game.
Yeah, that was one heck of a opening game of a series. 2-game set, of course. Yankees come out on top. Hey, we're going to preview game 2 a little bit later on in the show. Of course, there were some interesting comments that came out before the game from the upper management in New York about Anthony Volpe. We got to talk about that and try and dissect it and digest it a little bit. That's coming up later on in the show. Of course, Stacey, what a game. What a come from behind battle, back and forth battle of New York. Yankees obviously came out on top 7-6. We're going to get into this here in a second, but just your overall takeaways from last night's win.
There were so many crazy, it just felt like 3 different games in one. It just was so, it was so odd. The Mets had everything going right for them, themselves in the first few innings. Then the Yankees came back. And then, the end part of the game was the kind of tense Subway Series, oh my God, one hit can change this game type of game in the last few innings that we used to have to sit through like 20 years ago when the Subway Series was fresh. And it was kind of exciting because I know I kind of poo-pooed the Subway Series heading into it, but those last couple of innings were pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, they were tense. They were tense for sure. We're going to get to that in a second, but first you got to start with some really awful starting pitching. I mean, just terrible from guys that yes, this year, both these guys haven't pitched that great, but I mean, by overall standards, this was poor performance. Max Scherzer, looked awful. 3 1/3, 7 hits, 6 earned, just 2 strikeouts, gave up a pair of homers, including a massive bomb to Giancarlo Stanton.
It was so funny. If you guys were watching the Yes broadcast, you heard Paul O'Neill basically say Stanton can hit a home run in any park, and not even 2 seconds later he hit that bomb, and you could hear him laughing because he's like, see, my scouting report was totally on with Stanton. Stanton needed that. He hadn't hit a home run in a while since LA, and not that he's played that much because the Yankees have been sitting him for a few games there, so it's just nice to get on the board first, and that was a good thing at first. But again, this game was so strange that it was a good feeling for them to go ahead 1-0, and then things kind of fell apart for Luis Severino.
Yeah, you kind of forgot about that Stanton homer after a while. I mean, that was a mammoth shot. Yeah. And that's just, it's crazy to think how much talent and strength he has. And it's just such a shame that he's so hurt all the time. Like, it's such a bummer, not just for Yankees fans, but just for baseball fans and just for fans of sports, just like, or just the person that gets the occasional sports TikTok. Like, just, I mean, how many home runs could I watch of that guy? Man, I just wish he could put a whole season together where he's actually on the field. Luis Severino, man, he's got to figure something out. 4 2/3, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 of which earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Booney decided to keep him in. Couple pitches too late.
It was another one of those, this is going to come back to bite him in the behind, and it did. Now, it wasn't completely a disaster. Yes, they tied the game, but that's all they'd score. So it worked out okay, and he was lucky that he had the corpse of Max Scherzer facing him. So yes, it was a terrible performance, but he lucked out because his opposing pitcher was just actually worse because he only lasted 3 1/3. At least Severino made it into the 5th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer the Yankees are going to go with this rotation right now. Again, I think a trade has to be coming in some way, shape, or form relatively soon. At least you got to imagine they're trying to figure something out.
Yeah. Again, our most reliable pitcher of late is Domingo Germán, just like we all predicted.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. Again, we haven't gotten any news on Nestor recently, and he was shut down for 10 days. That was what, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it was. So yeah, it's the state of the rotation is miles behind
Mhm.
where we thought it was going to be in February, right? Like it's bizarre. But one thing that stepped up massively in that Tuesday night win, Clay Holmes. My goodness, what a huge spot to come in and replace Wandy in the 8th inning.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have been a disaster. And with the first call that the ump didn't get and called it a ball, I thought to myself, this better not turn into anything bad. And I just was like, wow. Like I said, it felt like one of those old school Subway Series. Oh my God, Yankees-Mets, it's really close. Anything can happen kind of a thing. And he just, wow. What an outing from him. He's been unbelievable lately. He's allowed 1 run in his last 19 innings with 24 strikeouts.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
dominant.
clearly Wandy was done.
Yeah.
Good move by Boone to go to Holmes there a couple of weeks ago. We would have been going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But good feel for Boone there. That was the right call, and it came out huge. I mean, it almost didn't. It was 2-3-2 counts with the bases loaded. His
Yeah.
sinker was unbelievable.
Yeah. And I mean, those aren't easy guys to get out either. So kudos to him on that. And again, it might not be the same as Subway Series in the past, but it's still kind of elevated compared to other series, and all eyes are on you because, God forbid the Yankees lose to the Mets. It's not like when George Steinbrenner was alive, but it still has that feeling because, there's kind of like bragging rights when the Subway Series is happening. And last year, the Mets won the 2 games at Citi Field. The Yankees won the 2 games in Yankee Stadium. So for the Yankees to take this one, pretty big.
Yeah, massive, massive. And Clay Holmes is one of the main reasons that the Yankees even had a chance to win that game. It could have completely fallen apart in the 8th, and this would have been a very tonally different episode today.
Yes.
Some massive hits too. I mean, there were some big performances on Tuesday, some like restore your faith in the franchise type performances.
Yeah.
Rizzo snapping an 0 for 24. DJ goes deep, his first home run in the month of June, a 2-run shot. Anthony Volpe with an RBI double, and just like the relief on Volpe's face, the smile at first by Rizzo. Like, I mean, these were not just big hits in the game, but just big hits for these guys right now.
Yeah, because all you really need is one hit to get yourself going. That's why sometimes when guys are in really big slumps, you'll see them. I don't think they do it as much now, but years ago, you'd see a guy try to bunt his way out of a slump just to get something going and just to get that one hit, especially, we spoke about how bad Rizzo has been since he hurt his neck, and for him to get that at least over with and snap that over, that was huge for him and for the Yankees. And let's not forget the catch that Jake Bauers made. I mean, it's going to get lost in everything, but I mean, that inning could have been way worse if he had missed that ball in right field. So kudos to him for getting to it, jumping in the air. That was, he's making all these like incredible catches out there in the outfield.
Yeah, for a guy that's not really known for his defense, and again, kind of more primarily a first baseman.
Yeah.
At least definitely profiles more as a first baseman. I think to go back to your former point of just like guys used to have to, throw the bunt down to try and get on.
Yeah.
I think what you said, the words lost in the shuffle. I think this gets lost in the shuffle. How relieving it feels, and this is going to sound insane, to stand on first base.
Sure.
It is such a, like, when you are going bad and things are awful and you can't buy a hit, nothing's falling and nothing's going your way, just to be standing at first base, not having to jog back to the dugout, having that jog of shame is so huge for a guy's confidence. Because even if for a brief moment, if he goes up the next time up and strikes out or whatever, lazy fly ball, it just gets that monkey off the back, and it's massive. I think that definitely goes understated in the game, where just, we talk about analytics obviously on this show, and a lot of that kind of makes the forefront of the conversation, but just for a guy going out there playing the game, it's huge. And that's huge for Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah. Oh, and one last thing before we move on. Michael King, that ninth inning went by so fast that it was like I blinked and the game was over. So good for him, because he had a little bit of trouble recently, but he snapped out of it against the Mets. So yeah, this was quite a game. I don't know if I'm ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of snap, that does end up snapping a series losing streak for the Yankees. Obviously, they could still split, but we'll have the chance to sweep the doubleheader coming up on Wednesday night. That game will be, of course, on Sirius XM. You can always listen on Sirius XM to the Yankees broadcast all season long. Make sure to drop your questions down in the comments section for our Fan Mail Fridays. We mentioned Anthony Volpe, Stacey, coming up with a big RBI double, ended up getting a double with a little bit of luck later on in the game as well. Like the hustle from Volpe there, by the way. But there were some really interesting comments that came out before the game. And it's kind of telling of what we've been suspecting over the last few weeks. We got to talk about it when we come back.
Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Steve's been using it this season and he loves it. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for you. They have killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, so you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time also has flash deals and last-minute tickets. It's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, and they even give you images of seat views so you'll know what you'll be seeing. With their lowest price guarantee and even event cancellation protection, Game Time is the best place to buy tickets in just a matter of seconds. 2 taps and you're set. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Back here on Locked On Yankees. Hey, thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. To everydayers out there, we have a very special surprise coming up on Friday. I guess I'm just going to break the surprise now, Stace. Number 8 prospect in the system, Richard Fitts, is joining the show. We're going to have a great conversation about how his season is going, how his development has been. We're also going to get to know him a little bit, talk a little bit off of the field and get to know Richard Fitts a little bit more. So make sure to hit subscribe. That way you do not miss that episode. Again, that's coming up on Friday, which of course is also our Fan Mail Friday. So a jam-packed episode to get you to the weekend. Hey, you're halfway there. Stacey, some interesting comments, as we mentioned. Chris Kirschner and other reporters saying this one coming from his Twitter account. Hal Steinbrenner told reporters that he had, quote, he's had 0 conversations about sending Anthony Volpe down to AAA so he can rediscover his swing. Of course, that's not the only quote we can take here. Aaron Boone went on Talking Yanks as well, and he was very adamant about, nope, we're not, nope, not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like aggressively so. Your reaction just immediately thereafter?
It's what we suspected. It's what we've been saying, as you said in the tease, where we expected this kind of reaction from them, because they basically said when they called him up that they wanted his development to happen here. And I think part of it is I feel like they don't want egg on their faces, and they don't want to send him down, because that will just, make people think that it was the wrong decision to call him up as early as they did. But I found it interesting that there have been 0 conversations about it, because there have been so many conversations from fans and reporters about it that you would think that maybe, so Hal could be lying about that, but I just found that interesting that they're just like, no, like as adamant as they are about it. That's, I really feel like they just don't want egg on their faces.
Yeah, you mentioned that they could be lying about that. How believable do you think those quotes are?
It feels like they feel as believable as Aaron Boone's quotes about injuries, because he's never right about them either.
We'll talk about that Judge quote about that also in that conversation with Boone here yesterday. So don't worry, hit the subscribe. That's coming up on Thursday's show as well. I mean, come on, man. 0 conversations? No,
they're lying.
Maybe like full-fledged, like long conversations about it. Okay, I could buy that. I could buy that. But the thought has come up. There's no way the thought hasn't come up. Come on.
Yeah, like I said, everyone is talking about it. There's no way that they didn't talk about it. I mean, he could have worded it a different way where, you know, I don't know. He didn't have to lie. He's lying. I mean, no offense to Hal, but
here's my hypothesis, Stace.
Okay.
I think this was a strategic move by the Yankees PR to show Volpe they trust him.
Okay.
And look, that's maybe not a bad thing. I mean, whatever. I mean, we're going to talk about it anyway, no matter what they said, right? Everyone was going to talk about what, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think it was more let's stay on the same page. Let's make sure we know that he knows and he knows that we know, like, this is it. And the word adamant keeps coming to the front of mind here, going, they want to make sure that no ifs, ands, or buts. Volpe's there.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. I don't think there's anything he can do right now that would get him back in Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also, I mean, you brought up a good point where, you know, they're doing this to make him feel more secure, because I know he's hearing the rumblings too. He has to know that people are.
You feel it. You know when you're not playing well.
Yeah, like that. You know you're not playing well. You know that there are people talking about it, and it's better for his psyche for the Yankees to come out and say, no, we're not sending him down. And, you know, maybe the Yankees coming out and saying that helped him in a way in the game against the Mets, because he looked a little different at the plate and he just seemed different at the plate. So, I mean, maybe that helped him.
Of course, picked up the hits. The double was huge down the line. Got a bounce in center. Hustle double to second. That's what Volpe does, right? Those hustles. Yeah. And then he just missed one later in the game as well. Deep drive to left. So, I wanted to ask you this, Stacey. Do you think this is bad for Anthony Volpe that he is playing at this level, both at his level and at the major league level? That's twofold when I say level. But do you think it's bad for him as a baseball player?
This might toughen him up a little bit. Because as I keep saying, you know, the Yankees are 10 games over 500 right now. They're fine. I mean, I know everyone's complaining they're in third place, but they're fine for all the stuff that's happening to them. He's not playing so badly that he's the sole reason why they're losing. You know what I mean? Like, he's not the one that they depend on in order to carry the offense, and he's not going out there and embarrassing himself, because, you know, there are other guys on the team who aren't hitting it either. So I just feel like this might be okay for him. I feel like this might toughen him up. It might give him some character. And, you know, he might look back on this later in his career and be like, that was the toughest time of my life. And then I got through it, and here I am at my third All-Star game. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've said this 100 times. I really like Anthony Volpe. Again, we watched him last year. We've watched him all this season, obviously, from a little bit further. But I like his makeup. I think he's a fine ball player. And I think he's going to be a decent to good Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
I really do. But I think this goes to show, again, confirming all our suspicions, that the leash is longer on Volpe. We've said that 100 times over.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know why it's longer. Because Florial didn't get that leash. Miguel Andujar never got that leash. Oswald Peraza clearly isn't getting that leash. And that's where my gripe comes.
Yeah.
Where I'm going, look, man, like, I get it. You think Volpe's the future, yada, yada, yada. Cool. What about Oswald? He is crushing it in AAA. He has more AAA time. He came up last. He's done everything you've asked.
Mm-hmm.
And because he didn't play well in spring training, he doesn't get the chance. It just doesn't seem super fair to me.
Right.
And, you know, they were talking about this too, because that topic was brought up. What about Oswald? But they're kind of chalking up to, well, there's nowhere to play and there's nowhere. You made room for Volpe.
Yeah.
You can't make room for Oswald?
They can. I don't know what they're doing, because I think the team would actually be better with the two of them on it in the field playing together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know, obviously, you know, you're stuck on a 40, or I mean, well, Peraza's on the 40, but, you know, you're stuck at 26 and, you know, you don't know what you're going to do with, you know, if you try to option Bowers, then he gets lost. He goes to waivers. And like, there's other roster situations at play here. Yeah. All I'm saying is, if they wanted to make it a competition, I think the competition needed to be longer than 1 month, a couple weeks after Christmas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let us know in the comment section. How you feeling about this? I know that our comments have kind of turned recently on Anthony Volpe. And look, he's still super young. That gets lost a lot too. Yeah. He's got a lot to learn. A lot to learn. Everybody knew that going in. But again, I mean, we've been saying it since day one. How long is that leash?
Yeah.
Right now, infinite, right? Mm-hmm. Infinite. So let us know how you're feeling about that. While you're in the comment section, of course, drop your questions for Fan Mail Friday. Catch the Subway Series finale tonight on Sirius XM. Coming up next, we're going to chat about that big pitching matchup to try and take that 2-game sweep. Back here on Locked On Yankees, Stace pitching matchup for Game 2 finale in Queens. Hey, Wednesday goes Cole Verlander. Let's start with Cole. June's been better. Been better. May was abysmal, especially by Gerrit Cole standards.
Yeah.
So June upswing. Here's the numbers. 2 starts in, 12 innings, 11 hits. That's not great. 3 earned, better. A homer. That's much better.
Yeah.
Because at the May rate, it should have been like 4.
Right.
2 hit batters, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts. That's facing the Dodgers on the road and Boston at home. Your thoughts on Cole recently?
Better. He's better. I said that I wanted him in June to, like, if he couldn't be as good as he was in April, just be better than you were in May. And so far, that's what's happening. So let's hope he keeps trending in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, if looking at potentially that final May start against San Diego, hoping that's the low point, that's rock bottom for Cole.
Yeah.
Because he was terrible that night. So we'll see. I mean, again, it's trending in the right direction. That's always great. It's all about generating swings and misses for Gerrit Cole. It's all about the fastball. Everything builds off of that fastball. And we'll see if he can do that against the Mets. Of course, Mets are without some big boppers in the lineup. And obviously the offense, save Tuesday night, has not been firing.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can kind of feast on that. I mean, I think a big outing for Cole could prove massive and really get him going here.
Definitely. Especially, again, I mean, I know people from outside of New York don't realize that how, like, I don't think it is, but the fans just blow this up so much. And if he could have a good outing against the Mets in Citi Field and help the Yankees sweep this, because of, again, last year they lost both games at Citi Field, it would be huge for him and the team going into this, because coming into the series, as you said, they'd lost a couple in a row. So it would be amazing if they could sweep this 2 games.
Yeah. And of course, Cole's facing his former teammate, right? And by all accounts, former mentor, really. I mean, Verlander was the ace of that staff in Houston. Cole was right there behind him. Like, this is I haven't looked. I don't think they faced each other, have they? I mean, they probably have when he was still in Houston.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if they lined up.
Possibly.
My brain is.
Verlander is not the Verlander that Cole was a teammate of now. Last time out against Atlanta, got completely shelled. 3 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. He gave up a homer. He walked 4.
That's very un-Verlander-like.
Extremely un-Verlander-like. He pitched well against Toronto, his outing before that. But right now, ever since mid-May, Stacey, every other outing, good, bad. So he's coming off a bad. Uh-oh. I mean, I mean, it's the I remember I always liken this the old Andrew Heaney-ism, the every other start.
Oh, yeah, Andrew Heaney. Oof, that Field of Dreams game. My God.
Andrew Heaney starting the Field of Dreams game, just the way everybody drew it up.
Especially MLB, when they put it together. They're like, oh yeah, this is definitely what we wanted.
The stadium, like, I wonder if Andrew Heaney's going to start this game. Heaney's pitching on Wednesday in Texas, by the way. Full circle. Verlander, Cole. Stace, will sparks fly in this one? Do you think it's going to like ramp them up a little bit more?
Maybe. I don't know. Because tonight, the
Tuesday
was such a dud. It was like, not that we were expecting Scherzer and Severino to be
pitching wise.
Yes, pitching wise. That's what I meant. It was such a dud that I'm kind of hoping that, well, no, I'm not hoping that Verlander, I don't want it to be a pitcher's duel, but if it turned into a pitcher's duel, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. I would just like the Yankees to score more than the Mets and win the game. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Isn't that weird? Why would I want that? No. I don't want to predict that this game is going to be better than Tuesday pitching wise, but I feel like it's going to be.
It's pretty low.
It's got to be. I know that the bar is like at the floor, so you got to be coffee table level.
Yeah. Didn't even talk about the sticky stuff, by the way, Drew Smith. What a weird game. Yankees at least came out on top of that one. I'm going to say Cole's going to hit 99 first pitch.
Ooh, it was going to be kind of, like fired up kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think he's going to fire himself up a little bit more. So first pitch, bottom one, Cole hits 99. That's my prediction for that one. Drop your predictions for game 2. Do the Yankees sweep this quick 2-gamer in Queens? You can drop your questions as well down there for Fan Mail Friday. And of course, coming up on Friday, you already know, Richard Fitz, number 8 prospect in the Yankees system, is joining the show. Can't wait to catch up with him, see how his season is going, and of course, learn a little bit more about one of the top right-handed arms in the Yankees system. You can catch the Subway Series finale tonight on Sirius XM like you always can. You guys already know. That's going to do it for today's Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.